Hello, hello. It's our last walkthrough of the semester. It's time to talk about Module 3, Think Again. So I think it's really important to kind of talk about how all the pieces fit together for this so that you know exactly what you're supposed to be doing from the jump, and we can finish strong on this one. So thanks for watching. I hope you find it useful. You will. You will. You'll find it useful. All right. So course content. We've got Essay 2 instructions, so we'll start with those. Essay 2, Think Again. Maybe you've already looked at this, in which case, good for you. If you haven't, well, let's look at it now. All right, so you just turned in Essay 1, and I'm working on grading those and giving you feedback on those. That's going to be really important for this assignment. If you did not turn in your Essay 1, well, you're going to have to start from scratch. That's going to be a bummer for you, but not impossible. Just harder. For those of you who did do it, well, good. You're halfway there already. Well begun is half done. So for Essay 2, Think Again, you are going to do a researched revision of your Essay 1, the Essay 1 that you just turned in, your School of Philosophy. So as we know, to revise means to look again. It's a crucial part of the writing process. Nobody does it perfectly the first time. Things can always be better, always improved. And we have to use feedback from folks like myself who've been doing this a long time and know it works and use that to improve. So nobody expected you to already be good at this when you came into the class. The expectation is that you try your best and that you take my feedback on board, you use it, you implement it, and you benefit from it. And a lot of you are. So let's keep that train a-going. So you are going to revise your Essay 1 submission that you just turned in. You're going to revise it in two ways. You are going to use my feedback, which again, I'm in the process of creating. I'm a little bit behind because of my son's surgery, but I am working on them and will be as fast as I can. So you're going to use my feedback on your submission to make any fixes, all right? So it might be to citations, it might be to content, organization, thesis statement. You won't know till you get in there. So you're going to fix everything that I tell you needs to be fixed. And on top of that, you are going to add in another layer, outside research, to provide support for your ideas about what it means to live a good life. So we'll talk about where that outside research is going to come from. Okay, so lots of skills that you will develop as a result. So you're going to formally revise this essay, the Essay 1 submission that you just turned in using my feedback. And again, these revisions may be big ones, what we call global changes, content, development, organization, source support from the Midnight Library, or it may be sentence level stuff, grammar, punctuation, spelling, source citation, or it may be a mixture of both. Again, the only way you're going to know is to go in there and check it out. So in addition to making those revisions, you are going to build onto your existing essay by incorporating two outside sources into the essay. So we're getting into the outside research component of the course. This is very important. One of those sources needs to come from the Greenville Technical College library databases. So that is why you have the library database tutorial assignment that is due on Sunday. And also one online source that is not from the databases. Basically, you can get it through Google or YouTube or wherever. So you have an assignment about this source that is due Thursday night. It's a source chart where you're basically going to evaluate that source for credibility because you've been around the block enough times to know, I'm sure, that you can't trust everything you read online. That doesn't mean you can't trust anything. So the question is, how do you know what you can trust and what you can't? So there's a really good method for doing that called the CRAP test. Yes, it is really called the CRAP test. CRAP. It's an acronym. And so there's a document in course content for this module that walks you through what the acronym is and the different steps involved. And you're going to apply that to an online source for this assignment. And we'll talk about what kinds of sources you should be looking for, like what they should talk about, basically. And then one needs to be from the databases, and you have an assignment about that due Sunday. The tutorial assignment, just kind of the basics of navigating the databases, but also another source chart about a database source that you found. So just like with the book, all outside source support from your sources needs to follow the ICE method. You need to introduce it, you need to cite it, and you need to explain what it tells us, why it supports your point. Same basic concepts apply. This is super important to incorporating stuff into your writing effectively. It is a crucial skill that will serve you for the rest of your academic career. You have to trust me on that. It is a big deal. We take it seriously. So should you. But we are here to help. So you also need to use MLA citation format for all textual examples from the Midnight Library and the outside source material, in-text, works cited. So here, this is important. No more than 15% of the total essay can be directly quoted from your outside sources. So what that means is you can't have like huge chunks of stuff copy pasted and put into your paper, just slap some quotation marks and a citation on it. That's what we call overquoting, and that is a no-no. First of all, nobody wants to read that. It's super boring. It's bad writing. It's bad source incorporation. It's just bad. Don't do it. So I do check if it seems like there's overquoting happening. I'll let you know in your conference video if it seems like that's happening, but just be aware that you can't just cobble a bunch of stuff from the internet into, call it a paper, or what I like to call Franken paper. That's not writing. All direct quotes from outside sources need to be in quotation marks, and anything else, any other content that you bring in from them needs to be in your own words. And again, you can't significantly go over this limit. That can result in actually a failing grade if it's bad enough. And I've seen some bad ones. All outside source material, even if you put, this is so important, y'all, of all the things that like people inadvertently fail over, because this counts as plagiarism if you don't do this. It's one of the kind of more gray area, not academic misconduct, just misunderstanding kind of thing, but it still counts as plagiarism and it's still a fail-worthy issue. If you take outside any kind of content, anything you learned from an outside source that you didn't know before reading that source or watching that source or whatever, even if you put that information in your own words as a paraphrase, you still need to cite it, because that's you telling me, hey, I learned this from a source. So paraphrasing shows me what you learned, right, in your own words. Citation shows me where you learned it. And that way I can, use the works cited entry to track down that source when I need to. So it's all about transparency, y'all. All about transparency. So important in 2024. All sources cited in text have to have a corresponding works cited entry and vice versa. This is so important. And this is one of the first things I check when I grade a research paper is, do these things match up? So if you have a works cited entry for a source by somebody named Smith, and I don't see any in-text citations for the name Smith in the paper, we have a very serious problem. Vice versa. I see an in-text citation for somebody named Smith, and there's no works cited entry for anybody by that name, serious problem. You have to have both for it to work, because the in-text citation tells me as I'm reading, what's from outside sources versus what's from you and which ones. And then the works cited entries get me back to the source where you found it. It's like the breadcrumb trail that takes me back there. I have to have both. Otherwise it's considered plagiarism and it can fail the paper. Well, yeah, it can definitely fail a paper. So word count between 700, 900, so a little longer because you're adding in more stuff. Same rules as before with point of view. So you can use first person again, but don't talk about me, second person. Same formatting guidelines as always. Just follow the example in your book. Otherwise I have to take points, which is a bummer. And then same title as last time. Any generative AI, and well, we all know what happens. So don't do it. Thanks in advance. Okay. So let's look at how like all these pieces fit together. Okay. Because in the past, a lot of questions I get from folks is like, okay, this thing I just did, is this for the essay that we're about to do? Yes. Everything is for something, right? Like any kind of work you're doing in this class is all supposed to be building up to the larger assignments, the essays. So any kind of like brainstorming, outlining, researching, anything you're doing from this point forward, it is all about essay 2. All about that from now until the end, including the final exam. So I thought a visual representation might help a little bit. Oh, there's no title. The pieces, the puzzle. We'll call it the puzzle. Yeah. Okay. So again, what you're going to do is you're going to take the essay 1 that you already wrote. You're going to fix anything that's wrong with it. And you're going to add in an online source from wherever. Again, you have to vet it first. That's the crap test. And a database source. So maybe you're wondering like, okay, what am I looking for when I get in there? Well, if we're talking about philosophers, right? So let's say you talked about Aristotle and Socrates in your essay 1. Well, go do some more research on Aristotle and Socrates and what they said and their philosophy, and like add more. So the great thing about the Midnight Library, I think, is that it gives you like a really good crash course in a lot of different philosophers and philosophies in one book, but it doesn't go very in depth, right? It just doesn't. It can't. There's no time. I think she talks about Thoreau the most. And if you pick Thoreau, which a lot of people did, go find out some more about Thoreau. Right? Go find out some more about his philosophies, about things he said, things he believed, his life even. You can, when he went to go live in the wilderness, which he didn't actually really do. So if you keep digging, sometimes you find out some unpleasant facts, but he kind of did, but kind of didn't. It was like glamping, really. Anyway, I won't spoil it for you. I don't want to burst your bubble. Go find out for yourself. So find out more about, again, the philosopher or their philosophy, their school of philosophy. So for Thoreau would be transcendentalism. You can find out more about that and what that was all about. He was not the only one who had those thoughts. He was an important part of that school of philosophy. But he certainly wasn't the only, and he wasn't the first either. He actually learned a lot from another one, Emerson. So the database source, same thing, right? So the library databases are going to be more kind of like scholarly, academic level kind of stuff. And I have some resources for you to help you with that. Okay, so the kind of sequence of how this is all going to go. I'm working on feedback for essay 1. You're going to look at that. You're going to use it to fix stuff. You will be working now on the research portion of this, finding stuff about your philosophers or the philosophies or both. You're not finding out stuff about the Midnight Library. I don't want any of that. Okay. Don't find me book reviews on the Midnight Library. I will not accept that as a source. Okay. I won't let you use that. It's not helpful. Source charts and the library tutorial research. Okay. Then you're going to turn in a draft, like a full draft of essay 2, having used all the feedback I gave you on essay 1, but also you've already incorporated your sources into the mix. And they're in there. You've got your citations, and then I'll give you feedback. I'll create you a video. It'll be like longer. I'll go through all the stuff, everything you need, and they're going to use that to fix it and submit essay 2. And it'll be great. It'll be awesome. You'll get an A, and you'll be ready to do anything in college. And then bonus, you are going to record your essay 2 as a podcast for your final exam. So yeah, this is kind of we're at a point where skipping any of these things is going to cause more problems later on. So just do all the things and you'll be great. And I'm here to help. Okay, I know this is getting long, but it's important. Thanks for hanging in there. So you got your instructions. Start here with your research. So because I'm a nice person, I put together some stuff. Actually, I had the library help me with it. So thank you to the librarians. They're great. So we've got some online resources. This could be a great place to start for your online source. And then these are some databases. Once you do get in there and start doing like the in-depth database research, these are some suggested databases where you could find good stuff on the philosophers or philosophies that you're talking about. I really like Credo Reference a lot. It's basically like a mega encyclopedia. It searches a gajillion of them at once for you. And some of them are really subject specific. So there'd be like encyclopedias of philosophy and stuff like that. Or if you want to look up anything about Aristotle or Socrates or Thoreau or whoever, Biography and Context is an awesome place to do that. And then these are just some kind of more general databases. They're all good, but those two are ones that I like. And then this is where you get more stuff about like the philosophy. So if you wanted to find out more about, again, like transcendentalism or, Confucianism or that kind of Confucianism, this would be a good place to get that. This is kind of more like deep dive into that stuff. So getting very academic. All right, so here's a document that talks about the CRAP test and how to apply it to whichever online source you want to use. And it goes through it like, okay, the C in CRAP test stands for currency, like how, the age of the information, very important in these times. Of course, with something like, if you're talking about Socrates, who lived thousands of years ago, maybe it's not quite as important. Relevance, like how well it fits to what it is you're talking about in the essay, that's really important. Who wrote it, what their credentials are, how true or accurate it is. And the best way to do that is to cross-reference it with other sources to see, what they say. And, the purpose behind it. So is it just there to inform? Is it trying to persuade you? Is it trying to like sign you up for a cult? I mean, you can't be too. Is it trying to sell you anything? And make you join a cult at the same time? Hey, you can't be too careful, right? So these things can be very tricky and sneaky. Go to the About page and see what they're about and who's paying for all of it. That's important too. Plagiarism. So you've got what counts as plagiarism quiz that you have to do before you turn in essay 2. So that's just a presentation that covers all the basics so we all know. And then your assignments, you've got the crap test chart for your online source, right, when you find it. You've got so like if you went to Wikipedia, for instance, I'm not banning Wikipedia as a source, but you would need to put that Wikipedia article about Socrates or whatever to the crap test, and you're going to fill the chart out here. And here's the thing, if you're the suggestion I give you in the instructions, if you are having a really hard time finding out any kind of information about the author, about who put it up, about anything, that's not a good sign, right? Like it says, if you have trouble answering questions because the source does not give you much information, then it's probably not a good source, and go find a different one, right? None of these subjects are super obscure, difficult subjects to research. Like there's plenty of fish in the sea. First result in a search is not always the best. It's often not. So, don't be lazy about it. It will pay off to put a little bit more work in the upfront, I guarantee you. And then SA2 source chart, this is when you find a database source. And this is what we call kind of an annotated bibliography. So you are going to be telling me about the source, but also why you picked it and where you're going to bring it into the paper. So you're going to do that for both of the sources here, the online source and the database source. This is really, really important to avoid plagiarism, right? And it'll really, really help you with the writing of the paper later. Just trust me. Just do what it says and you'll be fine. If you don't trust me by now, I don't know what else I can do. All right. What counts as plagiarism quiz? So like it says, you have to get a perfect score on that before I can let you submit SA2. This is just you acknowledging like, yes, I know this counts as plagiarism. Yes, I know this counts as plagiarism, so that later you can't be like, I didn't know it counted as plagiarism. Okay. For SA2 conference and draft, the way this works, you have to submit the full draft to me. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be complete. Fix any issues you had with SA1 based on my feedback. You're going to bring in your two outside sources. You're going to have your in-text citations and works cited entries for those. The grade for this is based on how complete this is, not how accurately you did it. You can make mistakes and still get full credit. As long as you've given me all the required components, then you get full credit. And if it doesn't have all the full components, though, if you don't have any citations or you didn't add it, whatever, you're definitely not going to get full credit. You'll get partial credit at most, because I can't tell you if you did it wrong or what to fix if it's not in there. So you're on your own after that. Good luck. Just do your best. It pays off. All right. I don't have time for late submissions on that. So just unless there's an emergency, whatever, please don't try to submit it late to me and ask for feedback, because we will be very much under the gun at that point. I will make you a feedback video. It is super important that you watch it as soon as it becomes available, so you at least know how much work you have to do to fix it. Waiting until the day it's due, we know how that goes. If at all possible, just watch it just so you can see just what you need to do, and then go back and watch it again when you're ready to do it, so you can plan ahead. And then you need to leave a comment on the video in Loom, which a lot of you guys do that anyway when I make you videos, which is nice. I like it. But this time you have to as part of the grade. The video comment is due the same date and time as the final draft of SA2 is, because I didn't have any choice. But please do that as soon as possible, so that, again, you know how much revising you need to do. And then if you have any follow-up questions or anything you want me to say more about to you, or you want to ask me about, I have time to give it to you. Okay? And you will probably need to watch your video more than once to really get everything. That's pretty common. So I've done it. I've done this for years and years, and it works if you work it. Folks who wait until the day the essay is due to open up and watch their video, it almost never goes well. So just a word to the wise. Okay. This is just a little thing to do. You're going to do the last week of class. You're going to listen to a podcast and talk about that, just to get a little taste of podcasting and what that's about before you make your own. And then I will make a separate video talking about the final exam, the podcast episode you're going to make, and the reflection that you're going to write, and how all that's going to go down, because this is getting really long. Okay. So, keep up the great work, guys. Don't be a stranger. Ask me. Like you're not bothering me before you get frustrated, before you get spun out. Or what does the kids say today? Crash out. Before you crash out, just send me a message, email me, whatever, we need to do. And I'm happy to help you. I will look at things. I will talk to you about things. I'm here to help. Okay. It's been a crazy semester, but we can finish strong. Hang in there, everybody. Bye-bye.